Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to your daily fix of Levalytics on video. I am your host, Jordan. It is August 25th, and we are 10 minutes away from the daily candle closing. The market is down, but our spirits are not. There's been a bit of blood out there in the crypto markets today, which was kind of bound to happen after the crazy boingy type price action that we've had over the past week or so. So it's okay. And frankly, nothing's been broken. As we can see right now, we have the BTC USD chart here and we're just hanging around. We tapped the 81K level at the highs today, but got kind of sent back to where we came from, which is, no big deal, kind of to be expected on the first tap of what's a huge resistance level. We've talked about this before in the past couple of videos where, all the way back to Thanksgiving of 2025, it put in the low, and then in May of this year, it put in the high. So, naturally, I think if there's going to be sellers on this pop, it's probably around this level. And just no need to freak out. And, today I'm going to try to be a little more intentional about how I'm going through the video. So we're going to kick things off by looking at price charts, right? And then after we talk about what's been going on in the market and some interesting charts that I'm paying attention to, I'll dive into some metrics, some analytics, so to speak, which is, kind of what a lot of my, at least initial subscriber base for the Levalytics newsletter and YouTube channel came here for, right? Just the actual analytics when you're looking at the data and seeing what's going on under the hood in crypto markets. We'll do that, and then we'll just call it an evening. I have no clue how long it's going to last. My assumption is somewhere around the 20-minute mark, and it'll be a good little quick ripper, just to talk about and kind of sum up what's been going on in the crypto markets, right? Okay, so this is the BTC chart. There's not much here. Still bullish, still blue candle prints. We're at resistance, just to be expected, right? So I'm just going to leave it at that for right now. Another chart that has actually been particularly interesting to me is SPX 6900. Murad talks about this asset a lot. He is the flag bearer, or whatever you want to call it, for this asset. He is the one just beating the drum, and everyone on Twitter goes crazy about it. And it's showing signs of life. It's looking pretty strong. It's tapping this huge level that's kind of been the huge resistance level for a long time now. If you want to just call this whole range or area all the way back to, let's zoom back all the way to Thanksgiving 2025, right? It's the same thing that's been going on with BTC. Everything's tapping the underside of what was a previous resistance level, but this looks strong. This has been up only for what, it's not a 2x quite yet, but it's up a chunk of change. So it's up like 60 something percent from the lows, and it's leading. It looks good. And this is an asset that I've held on to. Actually, I actually bought it on this pop and I just didn't sell it because, like I told you guys, I was just sitting in 50% crypto and 50% cash before this big pop, because I was like, at some point this thing's going to turn around, it's going to run off without me, right? So I'm holding it. I haven't added to the position, but like I told you guys, I keep most of my positions on average probably around 5% of the book, so that's where this one's around. So you're never going to catch me doing victory laps on people being like, I full ported this asset and I printed a bunch of money off of it. So it's, just enough to be excited about it. And I'm just going to treat it like any other asset that I trade. I don't pick favorites around here when it comes to the trading portfolio, at least. The longer term investing portfolio, I'll make more concentrated, high conviction bets. But this is just kind of about, actually just managing a portfolio and taking emotion out of it, right? So this asset looks really good right now, and this is something to pay attention to. And if we break this resistance level, this thing's going to fly probably. But that's the big issue with a lot of crypto charts right now in general, right? A lot of things are just tapping resistance. Look at Solana, right? Solana is tapping a big resistance level as well. So everything is like, if you're buying right now, unfortunately, you are buying resistance. And it's just the way it is. And I've been pretty comfortable buying resistance, but I also, like I told you guys, I also have the benefit of where I was just not stubborn, but I was just sitting on my hands in a decent selection of assets that have run off, right? And I've just been adding. For example, one that that I added that was late is Arrow, right? That is an example of one. It's down 5% today, so it's still blue. Like I told you guys, the stop loss on this one is right here, right? Hold on a second. Daily close. And I care about daily closes when it comes to trading. Some people care about, I'll cut it if it ever taps the level. I'm like, no, you get a daily close below this. And I'm like, all right, this move is cooked. It's over. And it'll probably be a red candle even before that, if that happened, it would be a momentum loss candle. So now that I'm on this list, I want to look at another asset, near, because a lot of people are really bullish on near, at least from a fundamental perspective. And it was an asset that a few months ago did have a healthy pop, right? It popped in on the May run, right? It ripped. I mean, it went from 1.3 all the way up to 2.8, a solid 2x, and it happened in very short order. So that looked pretty good. Since then, it's kind of languished a little bit, though. I mean, this is not particularly inspiring. No new highs from this whole downtrend, and it's just looking soft. And let's compare it. This is the near USD chart. Let's look at the near BTC chart. Hold on one second. Yeah, this is the near BTC chart, right? And it's just been bleeding out. I mean, this doesn't really give me much inspiration for the time being. And what I really want to do is catch it when it starts just either grinding its way back up or just ripping upwards, and you start getting blue candle prints, right? Like this was an easy long, right? You buy it here, boom, it ripped up. So that's kind of what I'm paying attention to right now. And I don't find this chart particularly exciting, right? But what's really nice, because I've kind of gotten to a point in crypto where I don't obsess over fundamentals, but I respect fundamentals. And what I mean by I respect fundamentals is that it helps me when a lot of people are talking about a specific asset, or people are beating the drum on a bull case for an asset, or nowadays in crypto, when the data shows that certain assets are getting used a lot or making a lot of money, right? And if there's a lot of different use cases for it, I'm like, all right, well, when this thing flips blue, that's just the narrative and catalyst to send this thing higher, right? So, but what I really want to do is I actually want to buy it at the perfect time. I'm not really trying to buy it at the lows. I'm not trying to be a hero, not trying to knife catch. And so that's kind of where I'm at. But near is one I'm definitely paying attention to. I'm just not allocated to it, right, for the time being. I think I might add some when the near USD chart flips blue. It gives me bullish momentum. That might be the first nibble I take, and then I'll double down on it when I get near BTC poppage, right? When it starts outperforming Bitcoin, starts squiggling up, then I go for it. But yeah, for the time being, it's just not really showing much. Another one that I was actually holding on to for a while is actually Pendle. This one's showing some signs of life. Pendle always trades weird, though. I don't know. There's something about it that doesn't really get me excited to trade it. But otherwise, I want to show you guys one more chart, and I want to show you guys, we've been talking about DATs a little bit. I want to show you guys PURR, which is a hyper liquid DAT. This thing's ripped. Look at this thing. It's beautiful. Hyper liquid strategies, right? This thing's up. I mean, on the day of the big pop, it was up 30%. I mean, since the lows, it is doubled, a solid 2x, right? Let's see, this is 100%. Yeah, 100%. It's up 100% since the lows. So on a lot of volume too, right? So people are hammering the bid. This looks good. And, the reason why I wanted to talk about this, it's not the fact that, everybody knows Hyperliquid's been ripping, but, PURR is a DAT this is PURR divided by Hyperliquid, right? And the daily candle today closed blue. And this is showing some serious promise, right? This is one of those things where I'm bullish hype. This is the PURR chart is starting to show signs that it might be time to consider if you want to own something that owns hype. The fundamental bull case is a hype pump, but it actually outperforms hype. This might be an asset. I know Capital Flows is very bullish on PURR, and it's paid very well. I mean, I remember Capital Flows was tweeting about it down here at like $3, so that's been a hell of a trade. Good for him. But yeah, this is something else I'm paying attention to right now. The problem is that with the Levalytics portfolio, it's on an exchange where my account is not enabled because it's a business account. It's not enabled to trade equities. So unfortunately, I can't touch this. I can't touch PURR. But this is one for people that, if you want to do it on your personal, I might just do it on my personal outside of the Levalytics trading account. Because the PURR chart looks strong. This thing's ripping and it's outperforming hype, which is there's some good opportunity there to just own something that gets pumps on hype pump, but at the same time it outperforms it. So that's something I wanted to put on y'all's radars. But I think that pretty much covers it for price charts that I wanted to show you guys, right? Because like BTC at resistance. Let me just show you ETH BTC. ETH BTC is dribbling out a little bit, not looking so hot. But like I told you guys, you get a daily close down here. Daily close on the origin of the pump, right? If it closes below it, then forget it. It's cooked, right? Then you can kind of move on. And that's kind of what my attitude is. But until then, I actually own some ETH in equal size to BTC right now. But I might rotate some more BTC if, hold on one second. Let's go to the 4-hour chart, right? If you get some, if you get renewed strength and a close above this 4-hour high on ETH BTC, I might sell some BTC to buy ETH, just to kind of just get a little extra juice on it, right? Because obviously at the end of the day, you want to outperform the benchmark, which is BTC, if you're going to touch alts. And this is the ETH USD chart. This looks strong. There's no reason to be nervous about this for the time being. Obviously, it's at resistance. But, you know, it's a trending asset. It's a good looking chart right now. And then this is hype. Lighter. Yeah, there's nothing to look at there. And Solana, I already showed you guys this too. Okay, cool. Let's move on. So this is a chart that I actually wanted to show you guys. And so there's a lot of lines going on here. The black line is the BTC USD chart. The blue line is the average funding rate for Equities Perps on Bybit. And the red line is the BTC USD funding rate. So these two are compared against each other. You can see for most of the time that equities were more expensive to trade than BTC. And then over time, BTC, you know, equities have started to lag a little bit. You can see the blue just shooting downwards, and it's kind of just leveling out right now, while BTC is kind of just propping itself up a little bit as price pumps. So I want to show you guys something else, though. This bottom subplot here, this purple line shows you the percent of the time that the BTC funding rate is higher than the average equities funding rate. And over time here, right, you can see we started getting a pop towards the end of July, right before this big move up. So that was a decent sign that, you know, people, it's been sitting at 66% right now. So this was a decent leading possible indicator that the risk appetite was higher for BTC than it was for equities, right? That might have been a decent sign. Oh, there's a change, like a turn of the guard a little bit. However, one thing I want to point out, though, that's in this next chart here, is this is the average open interest for these equities perps that I'm paying attention to here. And the average at the high was 2.5 million, right? And it's now down to 1.8. So there's just, at least on Bybit, you know, obviously on Hyperliquid or Trader XYZ, you know, there's other places where I think the demand and utility of these equities perps are much more mature, right? So you have to keep in mind that this is on kind of small, you know, size, right? This is still kind of a nascent market as far as I'm concerned, right? So when you're looking at the funding rate for these equities perps versus BTC, it's interesting to look at, but I think how much you can rely on it is probably limited for the time being. But yeah, I do think that this was just an interesting thing to look at, that because it preceded the pump, and that's what happened. But yeah, so keep in mind, the value right now for this is 1.8 million, right? So now let's go look at the blue line here. Shows you the average open interest for altcoins on Bybit for altcoin perpetual swaps, and it's 6.545 million. So even altcoins on average have a higher open interest than equities do on Bybit right now. So, you know, that just really gives you a general idea of how small the average market is. One thing I will say, though, right, is that, you know, a lot of these have been added to Bybit in a very short period of time. So this green line here shows you how many equities perpetual swap pairs are on Bybit right now. And there's 164. And 164 of these got added since April. April is the 4th month of the year, and we're the 8th month. So they've added a ton in that time. So unless I messed up something on the data end here, I don't think I did. But, you know, there's been a lot of growth in terms of the offering that's been made available to Bybit traders, and I think probably across a lot of the platforms in crypto that you want to trade on, just because of how successful it's been on Hyperliquid. But yeah, this is, you know, it's tough to sustain this amount of growth across a ton of different pairs. So this probably explains partially why that this value is, you know, just still kind of on the small end a little bit. But, you know, it's something that we want to track moving forward. And I thought this was an interesting stat that I would share with you guys. So, but yeah, as you can see, the average open interest for an altcoin perpetual swap pair on Bybit, 6.45 million. And if you want to look at it, what it was at the highs, hold on one second. Let me just move this BTC out of the way. This is the altcoin open interest. And at the highs in September 2025, that value was 26 million. So it is down astronomically. And yeah, impressive, right? So this is another thing just on its own. If you don't even want to compare it to the equities data on its own, altcoin, perpetual swap, open interest is down a lot. Traders got eviscerated, prices got eviscerated. And, just another signal, not that there's like anything directly actionable and obvious here, just goes to show you that leverage really, truly got wiped out of the market. I mean, if you also want to look at October when the big drawdown happened, you had open interest drop from like 22 million down to 12 million. The average open interest for altcoin perpetual swap pairs got cut in half overnight. So that really goes to show you what kind of damage took place on some of these exchanges on that huge deleveraging event in October 2025. And this chart, I'm going to just show you the blue line because the black one is BTC USD. Hold on, just move this down. Okay, so the blue line shows you the percentage of perpetual swap pairs with less than $10 million in open interest. And obviously, when the line goes down, right, you can see in April 2026 to May, the line going down means that open interest is increasing, right, on average across perpetual swap pairs on Bybit. And one thing you have to keep in mind is that one thing I want to show you, right, is that this is May, right? Right here is May, and it was at 87%. Right now we are at 90%. The price is basically the same for BTC USD though, right? So it really goes to show you how much less leverage is in the system now on this revisit of this high than it was last time, right? So only 90% of pairs have less than 10 million in open interest, and back then it was only 85 at the lows. So yeah, something to take to take into account. It's a good other signal that you can tack on to the other stuff, right? Like I look at this metric and I see this difference between the two periods and basically 3 months passing. And I think, oh, well, we have trending price action, which gives me my go signal, right? Gives me my go signal. We're back at the highs, but on substantially less leverage in the crypto space. So that's exciting. I like that. And, that is something that I can just, you kind of just, whatever, you clock it or not clock it, but you kind of just keep that in your back pocket and just pay attention to it moving forward. So this is good. This looks really good. So, less leverage in the system as we are revisiting the 80K high level. So let's see if we can get some follow through. And I'm not really sure I have anything else I'm trying to talk about right now. So that was it. Like I told you guys, kind of a quick grip it and rip it. Hopefully this is helpful to you guys. If you have any input on any assets you want me to look at or any developments that are going on in the crypto space, like I told you guys, I am here every day moving forward just because I think crypto markets are going to be particularly interesting moving forward. And I think I'll be wrong if, for example, let's just look at Zcash. This thing goes back. If this thing just reverts the pump, then forget it. This dumb thing's not working. Whatever. You guys know what I mean. If it drops from like 760 down back to 582, there's probably a decent chance that I get a bearish momentum print, and I'm like, all right, this thing's cooked. So otherwise, here's virtual that I was excited about yesterday, and obviously it dumped. But this looks good, honestly. I still don't think that there's not been enough dumpage today to justify me changing my bias. So, the Levelitics book, that's one thing I haven't talked to you guys about. Nothing has changed if I'm not mistaken. I should already know this because obviously I'm the one moving the money. Yeah, nothing's changed. Yeah, there's nothing to talk about here. Percentage of the portfolio in cash is still around 12%. So yeah, guys, that's about it. Nothing changed. Just a flesh wound for right now. And I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, wherever you're watching this. And yeah, thanks for watching.